Deshaun Watson, former Clemson phenom, drafted by the Houston Texans in 2017, will start off his career playing at an electric high level, gaining 3 Pro Bowl selections and leading the Texans to 2 division titles. Everything looked promising for this Texans franchise QB, but everything would soon begin to unravel, starting with the Texans getting rid of both J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins, both future Hall of Fame players who are franchise legends. These moves were rather questionable, but it seemed a lot had to do with former head coach Bill O'Brien. Fast forward to 2021 season, and the star QB would ask out as well. It seemed they were looking more towards a rebuild. Watson would sit out the entire season and then be traded to the Cleveland Browns, a trade in which the Texans received 3 first-round picks for those next 3 years, 2 fourth-rounders, and a third-round pick. Those picks would turn into left guard Keon Green, running backs Damian Pierce and Devin Singletary in 2022, and in 2023, star QB C.J. Stroud, who would amaze everyone with a stellar season, monster defensive end Will Anderson Jr., and Tank Dell. The last of those picks would then be acquired for wide receiver Stephon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills. So you're probably wondering, was it worth it for that trade for Deshaun Watson at that time? Now, this was a question we all asked. But as soon as Watson will be on the way to a new team and a new big contract in works, all his problems would then follow, and the cameras were on him. 24 women filed for sexual misconduct against the QB. This would put Watson's season to a halt as he faced an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine. The women said these actions took place during massage therapy sessions. He would settle 23 out of 24 lawsuits and issue an apology for his actions. With the suspension out of the way, Watson would get a break and land a 5-year, $230 million, fully guaranteed contract. Safe to say the Browns fully believed in their new QB. Now going into the 2023 season, the Browns had big expectations, but that was cut short as Watson suffered a season-ending broken shoulder to his throwing arm. But the Browns were in for a surprise as stay-at-home dad Joe Flacco hopped off from his dad duties and suited up to bring the Browns all the way to an 11-6 record and a playoff berth, which now leads us to the 2024 season. And once again, Watson and the Browns were talks for this season. But as the season commenced, once again, Watson was hit with another sexual assault charge. This did not help the fact that the Browns have now gotten off to a 1-5 start and might be back on that 2016-2017 season's trajectory. But fans want to know, why is Watson struggling so much? It's almost as if he took a 360-degree turn, or he had all his talent sucked away like his Space Jam. So we're all here to talk about the lingering problem in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson and if it's possible for a redemption. But before we answer that question, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to drop a like and comment on why you think Watson has struggled as bad as he has. So Mal, why do you think Watson has struggled so bad? And can he come back from his recent struggles?
Come back? Sir, Deshaun Watson is done. D-O-N-E, done. And I think you said something about a 360. No, he's taking a 180. People were making arguments of him being top 3, top 5 quarterback when he was with the Houston Texans. Now we can provide a valid argument that at this current juncture in time, he may be the worst quarterback in the NFL. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not me being hyperbolic. The man has been awful since he's been a member of the Cleveland Browns organization. Coming off that loss to the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, as Jalen said, the Browns are 1-5 on the season. They are at the bottom of the AFC North. Dog, it's nasty over there. Just to put some things into perspective for you guys, I have plenty of stats to highlight how bad Deshaun Watson has been, but the Browns are averaging 240 yards per game. That ranks dead last in the NFL. Deshaun Watson, he's also been sacked 31 times this year. That's the highest count and 11 more than any other quarterback. A few things kind of approach my mind. Of course, he can't be protected, but also guys don't want to block for him because he's not a likable person at all. He ranks dead last in QBR with a 21.5. This is the lowest QBR to date since Jimmy Clausen in 2010 with a 13.8. He's top 10 worst all-time in quarterback EPA per dropback since 2000, and he has the worst success rate on dropbacks since 2000 as well. Hey, CJ, I got a wild one for you. At one point in time on Sunday, the Cleveland Browns were 0-26 on their last 26 third downs with Deshaun Watson under center. 0-26.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
What the hell is going on with this man? Like, how can he be this bad? The Cleveland Browns are putting up all-time historically bad offensive numbers. It's insane. The Browns' offense success rate this season is the lowest average for any Browns offense in weeks 1 through 6 since 2000. The worst. Deshaun Watson, I think a lot of the issues that are going on with him, some can be due to injuries, but I think 99% of his issues are up here between the ears. It's mentally affecting him at a rate that we can't even fathom a quarterback having this big of a drop off. We can really only compare it to other sports. When I think Deshaun Watson at this point, I'm thinking Ben Simmons in the NBA with the Brooklyn Nets.
We're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
That's what I'm thinking right now. 3 years after, as Jalen said, 20 women filing those lawsuits for sexual misconduct, the legal action and allegations are resurfacing. It's not going away anytime soon. And when I see Deshaun Watson on the football field, it looks like a man that is mentally defeated. He doesn't want to be out there. Like I said, it's the Ben Simmons effect where he does not want to compete day to day at his sport. He's just collecting that paycheck at this point in time. I just have a few things to say about Deshaun Watson. He's a bum ass quarterback. He's soft as hell. He has no leadership capabilities or skills. And at this point, what's worst of all, people around him, people in the media, people in that team, and those players view him as a bad person. So now we have character assassinations that we look at the stuff that's happening off the field. We can say that those things are probably accurate. It's not a pretty situation. It's probably the worst football situation in the NFL. With the amount of money that this guy is going to be getting, $230 million guaranteed, there's really no out for the Cleveland Browns. Essentially, the only reason why he's playing and they're not going to Jameis is because the owner wants the quarterback to play because you paid him that much money. The owner's like, I'm going to get my worth, but you're not getting shit. Deshaun Watson is that bad. People ask, is he really that? He is that bad. From the stats, from just my eye test, he is the worst quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry.
Deshaun Watson is not a good quarterback. That's kind of obvious. Now, I do want to say it's not all on him. It is a shit show down there. And the statistical metrics do say that when quarterbacks have 3 seconds to throw the ball, he's getting like pressure / sack 29 times. The next one was 14. Now, with that being said, he's not a good quarterback. That's for dang sure. And the issues that he's having this year, he's been having for his career. They just haven't been highlighted. Miles said he's got paid a big bag. So, of course, he hasn't really had the initiative to kind of try, work with his receivers. The talent has declined. A lot of his weaknesses that he had early in his career are getting exposed before our eyes. Holds football too long, third downs. He's not good. He's not aware of what's going on in the pocket around him. And he's not quick to evade. He still kind of thinks that he's like a mobile QB now, and he's not. He has to, in my opinion, be a pocket quarterback, pocket passer, which he's solid at doing. But he depended so much on hero ball and Houston that's not helping him now. He's been kind of out of the loop of the game. So Deshaun Watson, yeah, he's been terrible. Yes, he's been probably the worst quarterback in the league alongside Bryce Young. But it's not really on him because offensive line has been bad. But I will say this. They have failed to score above 20 points in any of these games. Most of these games have been 15 through 18 points. That's awful. With the amount of guys that they have on the receiving core, Deshaun has to give those guys the ball. He has to give those guys a chance to play make. And he hasn't done that. So the money has definitely gotten to him. Like, he doesn't feel like he's trying anymore. He quit on his team when Kevin Stefanski wanted to go for it on a famous 4th down, and he literally walked off the field. I don't know if he couldn't hear him, but he just walked off the field. That's not what you want to see in the quarterback of this team. His teammates clearly don't like it. You see the offensive line, they rarely refuse to help him up. They are the root for a lot of his sacks. Like, a lot of his sacks are like under 3 seconds or 3 seconds or under. In my opinion, if you're getting sacked under 3 seconds, it's not really on you. It's on the offensive line not being able to discover the pass rush or missing a block. So that's where I am with the Deshaun Watson saga. They can't bench him or anything because they're paying him so much money. It's gotten so bad. The fans want them to play Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston is a turnover-prone quarterback. In 2021, he famously threw for 5,000 yards and had 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns. They want to play that guy over the man who's been paid, millions and millions of dollars. So that's how bad it is for the Cleveland. Cleveland is in the rut again. They honestly may be in the worse state than they were when they were 0-16 a couple years back. Like, it may be as equivalent. They may be in as bad of a situation. There's not much I can say about this other than, they just have to restart. They have to rebuild as a franchise, basically tank this year so you can get a high draft pick and just live with that. But they gave up so much draft capital for him anyway, so it's just not a good situation at the end. So they're screwed. And yeah, that's kind of how it is. They're not going to be a good football team. They might be the worst football team in the league. Them and the Panthers are battling for the worst football team in the league. That's how bad it is. Those are my thoughts on Deshaun Watson. It's not looking bleak. I don't think he can clean up this act too, because these are bad habits he's had for the duration of his career. He was fortunate that he had who people regarded as the best receiver in the league at the time, and DeAndre Hopkins, for that duration that he had with Houston, because he had a lot of bad habits that they're just getting exposed now. He's not a good QB. I have to say this because we never dropped this video, but I did say this was one of the teams that could potentially beat the Chiefs. How bad of a take that sounds. I had that take, and I had the take that the Jacksonville Jaguars will go to Super Bowl. I will say on the channel, because we never dropped those videos, those are my predictions. They may be the worst. Like, they may be worse than like any Skip Bayless or Stephen A. Smith prediction. Like, it's that bad. I do apologize for that. That was a really bad take that I had. Deshaun Watson hasn't proven that in 5 years. Quite literally, it's going to be 5 years that he's proven that he can be on the toe to like battle Mahomes in a playoff setting. That's where I am with that. Hopefully they can get this wrapped around. That's a big hopefully, because it's pretty much over for their season and we're only in week 6, which says a lot.
Man, Deshaun Watson, I don't know what to say. I don't know if those women took the confidence out of this man or something. He's shot. He's through. He's cooked. I appreciate all these great stats that Mal has showed. And like Caleb said, the fact that he walked off when you're trying to go for it on 4th down, your quarterback that you paid $230 million fully guaranteed, he's supposed to be your franchise QB, and he walked off. No explanation. He just walked off. You can definitely see from his demeanor and the way he's been acting on the field, you can definitely see that all those lawsuits, they probably all true. And the fact that his O-line doesn't really care to help him out, that's just tough to see. Even though he's getting sacked and all this, his game, it's not good. When I was watching that Browns and Eagles game, it was just a big stinker. Like, those quarterbacks, back and forth, just trash. Just like Ben Simmons versus Kyle Kuzma or something. Like, I mean, it was just trash. Amari Cooper, I wouldn't be surprised he has to leave by the end of this season or next year. Nick Chubb, he's got to come back to a poverty team. Myles Garrett, I don't know if he wants to be a Brown any longer. I wouldn't be. Denzel Ward, I wouldn't be. On paper, they got all these young talents, these guys, these great dominant guys, on defense and offense. But when you got a quarterback like that, and you got an offensive line that can't even get him to make anything happen in more than 3 seconds, team is just shot. I ain't gonna lie, Caleb might be right when he says this team is as bad as that, or might be even worse than the 2016 and 2017 seasons. Like, this stuff is hard to watch. The fact that you really can't bench or do anything with Deshaun Watson because you paid him all this money and this is your first full season out of him, that's highway robbery right there. Like, it's really killing. And they don't have any draft pick, and no team is going to want him. He's not a good quarterback, and his characters and leadership is not there. So the Browns, they're just in a bad state. It's gonna be tough to see how they deal with this situation with Watson. That really hurt them badly. Giving away all those draft picks, and you got a quarterback like this, you overpaid him, and he's not even giving you the effort to win the games. Honestly, they might have just been better with keeping Baker Mayfield. Like, they should have just kept Baker Mayfield or something. Because I mean, this is bad. This is hard to watch. The fact that we're saying this is not even mid-season, like, this is 6 games in, and we're already talking about how trash this team is.
It's kind of difficult, man, because I agree with you. Like, Baker Mayfield, of course, he's miles ahead of Deshaun Watson right now. But I think it worked out for Baker, because Baker, from a maturity standpoint, he had some growing up to do. And if you think about it, who thought that Deshaun Watson was going to be this bad? None of us saw this coming, man. We just didn't see it coming. Like, this is one of the biggest head scratchers that I've ever seen. Nobody thought he was going to be this bad. Because when I saw that Cleveland Browns were able to get him, I had high expectations for them. I said, man, this is a great team. They got a great defense, one of the better pass rushers in the game. You got Amari Cooper coming over. you got Njoku, you got all these weapons, Nick Chubb, like you have all of these weapons, and now they got a top 5 to top 10 quarterback on the team, and it's just gotten to this. I think that Deshaun Watson is going to be responsible for a lot of players on that team getting injured, because when you got a guy that, as CJ said, gave up on his team, quit on his team, what are other guys on that team going to do? I'm not going to play hard for this guy. My quarterback doesn't want to play hard. My leader doesn't want to play hard, doesn't want to give me effort. I'm not going to play hard. And if you're not playing hard on the football field, then you're going to be liable to get injured. So I see this team quitting, and we haven't even got to the midseason point. They are going to quit on this team. Guys are going to be playing for themselves. They're going to be playing for themselves, or they're going to be playing to not get injured. I don't know, man. I don't know what's next for Deshaun Watson. Honestly, I think that he honestly should call it a day, but we know he's not going to do that. He's going to continue to collect his money. But if you're the Cleveland Browns as a franchise, you got to cut bait. You got to cut ties right now. Just go to Jameis. Ownership needs to put their pride aside and go to Jameis right now if they just want to salvage the season, because they're going to lose badly. They're not going to win 5 games. You're not winning 5 games with Deshaun Watson starting as your quarterback. So are they going to go 2-15, 3-14? It's that type of season for the Cleveland Browns.
Deshaun Watson is a mailman.